Stalwart Winnie Madikizela Mandela passed away, and her church used this Good Friday to commemorate her. Her family joined hands with the church to remember the life and times of Ma Winnie. The Methodist church in Meadowlands in Soweto was where Mama Winnie spent her last Good Friday before she passed away in April last year.
Winnie Madikizela Mandela, a struggle icon to many. But here, she was a humble congregant that contributed immensely to the development of the church.
He used to sing the 81 song. When we start to sing that song, he used to stand up and raise his hands. And you can see that she's far away. She feels this song.
She never missed any Easter, even if she's not well, but she had to come. If we don't see her, we know that she's not well.
Her family and friends are still coming to terms with the fact that she is no more.
Well, we had the cow delivered here already the day before yesterday, and we're going to continue, honoring her legacy in that manner. Whatever it is that she did for the church, we will always do. Whatever it is that she did for the community, we will always do.
I'm still trying to process this, that Mama is no more with us. It's not an easy thing to accept, and I know we need to let her rest in peace. She was not a young girl anymore, but I think she could have still been with us for a little bit longer, because there's so much wisdom that I could get. Speaking for myself, it was just so much to learn from her.
It's a privilege for me to be here and to come and remember Umama, because I'm probably one of the many people that had, interacted and met Umama and so on. So this day for me reminds me of how special it was for her to even pass on this day. I think it's symbolic to say that she passed on at about the same time as Jesus Christ passed on.
It is clear that Mama Winnie touched so many lives here.
It has been a year since Mama passed away, and congregants here say they are feeling her absence. This is because of the wisdom and contribution she brought to the church and the community at large. Busisiwe Jemsana Mantashe, SABC News, Meadowlands, Soweto.
Well, to tell us a little bit more about this event commemorating the struggle stalwart, Winnie Madikizela Mandela, I'm now joined in the studio by the reporter on that story, Busisiwe Jemsana Mantashe. Thanks so much for joining us. And normally we talk to you all the way from the Eastern Cape. It's nice to have you in Gauteng.
Thank you for
all right, so today was quite a day, wasn't it?
It was quite a day, Peter. I mean, hundreds of congregants converged to the Methodist Church in Meadowlands to honor Mama Winnie. This is the first Easter weekend without her. The last Easter, she was at that church. She was part of the congregants. Though she was not feeling well, she was not strong enough. Some saying that they could see that she was not feeling well, but because she's a strong woman, and who loved the church, she went to the church anyway. And so today was a very emotional day for them. It was an emotional day even for the family. We saw Uzinzi, her daughter, who was at times teary during the church service. So it was a day where they remembered one of their own, and they wanted to honor her, to say that your absence, we can feel it. A year after, we can feel that you are no longer with us.
And so many people showed up just to, I suppose, give an indication of how many lives she touched with her own lifetime. What were some of the things that were said about her at the service?
Certainly, Peter. I mean, the church was packed to capacity. There was even a tent outside to cater for the overflow. They spoke about how she contributed to the church. Every Easter, she would buy a cow, a cattle, so that it can be slaughtered, so that they can feast. She would leave the church with sign a check for the church to say the church must go on, the gospel must go on. And in fact, they were saying before she passed away, she made a promise that the site that is near the church, she would make sure that it gets to the ownership of the church so that they can grow the church and build another building there to make sure that the church grows, the gospel grows. And so they were saying that now that she's no more, they do not know what will happen with the site that she identified, and that they could feel that she's no longer there. I mean, they talked about how when she was leaving the church, she would ask Umfundisi and Mama Umfundisi to accompany her out of the church, and then would give the check to them and ask them how they were doing. Mamu Maralo was saying that for her it's even more painful because she would call, Mamwini would call her to say, which church are we going to today, which section? And she would say, we're going to Zola, or we're going to here, are we attending in Meadowlands, let's go. And she would sit right next to her and she would rejoice. Some of them telling stories of how when her favorite hymn was being sung, she would stand up and you could see that it really touches her. There's a message that is being delivered to her. So it was an emotional day, and yet a day where they were celebrating her life to say, thank you for your life. Thank you for being part of our church, Mama.
You said emotional, and we saw a little bit of a clip there of her daughter, Zinzi, speaking. I wonder what else she was able to share with people. Did she speak at the service?
Well, we did speak to her outside the church, where she was saying for her family, for the family, it's a bittersweet feeling, bitter in a sense that they miss her. Though she was old, but she was isikukukazi that brought the family together, and they miss her during this time. But it's a sweet feeling in a sense that they're able to carry on with her legacy, which is intertwined with the church. They're able to do what she used to do for the church, and what she used to do for the church and the community, they want to continue doing for the community and the church. And of course, Peter, we could not end that discussion without talking about the elections. It's 17 days to the elections, and she was saying, well, if she was still around, she was someone who respected all political parties, regardless of the fact that she always said she is ANC, but she respected all political parties, and she would be calling for unity this time around and for the betterment of ordinary citizens.
Yeah, one gets a sense that the church was very much a part of her life, and this church in particular.
Indeed, indeed. It was very much part of her life. I mean, Zinzi was saying there that she would sit there 5 hours listening to the sermon, listening to the preachers preaching, and without getting water, without getting anything. And you'd understand Mom Winnie was old, but she was resilient. She wanted to be in church. I mean, last year she was not feeling well, but she went to church anyway because she connected with the church. And every Easter they were saying she would be there unless she's really not feeling well. So you get a sense that that's where her spiritual self was being grown. That's where she found happiness inside the church, listening to the word of God, the things she did for the church. The church signed, being there, calling people to be there, being part of ordinary people, because it's a church in Soweto, and Mama Winnie stayed in Soweto. It's an ordinary church where ordinary people go and converge and listen to the word of God, and she was there amongst the people, singing ordinary hymns that people sang. So really we got a sense of just how much she loved the church, she loved the people in the church, and loved the people of Soweto in general.
We'll see. Thanks very much indeed for coming in and sharing with us this wonderful tribute that this church played to the late Mum Winnie. Thanks so much indeed for your time.
Thank you, Peter.
All right.